Hi, Rivet. It's good to be with you again.
Good morning, Reverend Tracy. Good morning.
Welcome back to our friends that are watching from home as well. This is children's time at First Congregational Church of Webster Groves, and we welcome everybody, don't we, Rivet?
Yay! Yay!
So today we are going to talk a little bit about a couple of stories that are close to Holy Week. And so first we are talking about a story. It's the same story, but two different parts of the same story. First, we are talking about when Jesus did something that was kind of amazing. He washed some feet. Have you ever heard that story, Rivet?
Do you mean to tell me he washed feet?
Not his own feet. He washed someone else's feet. So, is that some job that you like to do, Rivet?
I'm not sure. I don't want to wash feet.
Most of us don't think washing feet is a very good job because people's feet get really yucky and smelly, right?
Yeah.
Well, remember in Jesus' time, people wore sandals and their feet often got dusty. When you came to somebody's house, somebody, your host or his servants, were supposed to wash your feet. Well, Jesus went to eat a Passover meal with his disciples and some other friends, and nobody washed their feet.
So how many people were there?
Well, we're not exactly sure. There were at least 12 people besides Jesus, and then probably some women, and they probably cooked the meal, and they were disciples as well. So there was a gathering of friends.
That is so much.
So what do you like to eat when you gather with your friends, Rivet?
Well, I like the chicken. I like the ribs because I'm at picnics often.
That's true. Ants are at a lot of picnics. It's getting warm enough soon. You'll be out here in St. Louis too
I
at
cannot wait.
everybody's picnics. Well, so in Jesus' story, Jesus was getting ready to eat with his friends, and he realized that nobody had washed anybody's feet. So he got up and he got a towel and he tied it around his waist and he started washing feet. What do you think his friends thought?
Well, if it was me, I would let him wash my feet. I like my feet washed.
It is a good thing to have your feet washed. It's very relaxing. But some of Jesus's friends did not think that they should let Jesus wash their feet because they considered him the master, the teacher, and they were the students and they should be doing the work. But that's not what Jesus wanted. He wanted to show everybody that serving is a good thing. Do you help serve people, Rivet?
I do. I do. I do.
Sure, you do. Ants do a lot of work and carry big, heavy loads. They do a lot of service. They clean the grounds for us. So, Jesus wanted everybody to follow his example and become servants of our friends and neighbors. So, he showed everybody how to wash their neighbors' feet. Then they all sat down to eat, and they had a Passover meal, which is at a time when the Jewish people remember when they fled from the land of Egypt. So they wouldn't have to be slaves anymore. So during dinner, Jesus said something that was kind of weird. He had a piece of probably matzah, which is kind of like a flat cracker. You might think of eating a piece of bread at communion today. That's how we remember this story. Then he took a cup of probably wine, because they drank wine because their water wasn't very good to drink. So they drank wine. And so they had wine and this matzah or bread. And he said, when you eat these things, remember me. And so what Jesus wants us to do when we have communion, Rivet, is remember Jesus.
Remember him?
Remember Jesus. So it's kind of like when we come to the altar, we're kind of having a big family meal. Jesus had gathered with all his friends and said, here, take this drink, this wine, or sometimes we use grape juice today, and this bread, and remember me. Take this to remember me. So when we have communion in our churches, that's what we're supposed to remember. We're supposed to remember Jesus and how Jesus acted and how we can be Jesus followers. So when you have your family meal, you need to tell the story about Jesus. Rivet, do you think you can remember the story about Jesus washing feet?
Yes, I can. This sounds so good. Tell me more.
Well, I think that Jesus wanted us to remember this meal was special because he had washed feet, so he told us how to serve others. And then he said, take this bread and this drink because it's going to remind you of me, because I'm not going to be here very long. I'm giving you this to remember me. So we know that Jesus was going away, and that's why we have Good Friday and Easter. And this meal that we have, this what we call communion, helps us remember those stories of Jesus' life. So let's say a prayer. Dear God, whether we are an ant carrying a heavy load or whether we are washing the feet of our neighbors, please help us remember to serve others in the name of you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
See you later, Rivet.
Thank you so much, Reverend Tracey.
And I'll see you, boys and girls, next week.
Bye, friends.